This conference will now be recorded.
وجاء ربك والملك صفا صفا 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 یا حیو یا قیوم یا ذا الجلال والاکرام 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 या हय्यू या कय्यूम या ज़ल जलाली वल इकराम, या हय्यू या कय्यूम या ज़ल जलाली वल इकराम, या हय्यू या कय्यूम या ज़ल जलाली वल इकराम। शुक्रन लिल्लाह वल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, शुक्रन लिल्लाह वल्हम्दुलिल्लाह। या अली मदद अजीज सर।
या अली मदद, या अली मदद। सुभान अल्लाह, सुभान अल्लाह। बहुत खूब, बहुत खूब। सुभान अल्लाह। तमाम साथियों को या अली मदद।
मौला अली मदद सर।
मौला अली मदद अजीज
या अली
भाई।
मदद, या अली मदद, या अली मदद। हम मौला के मुबारक नाम से इस क्लास का सेशन का आगाज करते हैं। नूर मौलाना शाह करीमुल हुसैनी हाजिर इमाम, हाजिर इमाम। या मौलाए मेहरबान मदद फरमा, अल हय्युल कय्यूम, अली अल्लाह मदद फरमा। या मौला रहम कर, करम कर, फजल कर मौला। मदद मौला, मदद मौला, मदद मौला। अल हय्युल कय्यूम, अली अल्लाह मदद फरमा। 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 नूर मौलाना शाह करीमुल हुसैनी हाजिर इमाम, हाजिर इमाम। तौफीक, ताहिद, हिम्मत व यारी मौला। आज हम मौके की निस्बत से, चूंकि एक मुबारक रमज़ान के महीने का आगाज है और बहुत सारे सवालात रमज़ान और रोज़े की मानी और उसकी समझ के बारे में हमारे सामने आते हैं। We will take this opportunity, since it is the beginning of Ramadan. We do receive quite a bit questions regarding the understanding and the meaning of Ramadan and Roza. This will be a two-part series. On the first part, we will look at the stages from the Shariat to Tariqat to Haqiqat, to understand the different period of time in Islamic history, to understand how do we see Ramadan, the month, and the action of Roza. हम उसको हिस्ट्री के अंदर जाकर और अलग अलग स्टेजेस के ऊपर देखेंगे कि किस तरह से हम रमजान के महीने को और रोजे का जो एक्शन है, उसका जो तरीक़ेकार है, वो किस तरह से इन दर्जात के ऊपर, इन वक्त के ऊपर बैठा हुआ है। इंशाअल्लाह ताला मौला की मेहरबानी और मौला का करम रहा, मौला का मुबारक हाथ हम पर रहा, मौला की नजरें हम पर रही, तो ये कोशिश हम करेंगे। आपके सामने कुछ सवालात की सूरत में, यू कैन सी ऑन योर स्क्रीन, कुछ सवालात की सूरत में एक चीज रखी गई है, एंड दैट इज कि व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ रोजा। फिजिकली, लिटरली, रोजा मीन्स टू फास्ट, और meaning to restrain oneself. रोजे के मानी है रोकना और अपने आप को किसी चीज से रोकना. One can ask, what do you restrain yourself from? ये एक अच्छा सवाल होगा कि जब कहा गया कि आप रोजा रखें, restrain yourself, then the question would be, what do you restrain yourself from? Is it to restrain oneself from eating food, or is it symbolically used to mean something else? जब कहा गया कि अपने आप को रोको या अपना मुंह बंद करो, तो सवाल होगा कि किस चीज से अपने आप को बचाना है, रोकना है. या अपना मुंह बंद करने से जो एग्जाम्पल दी गई थी, वो किसी और चीज की तरफ इशारा है, ये सवाल है. And I'd like you to keep this question in mind as we go into this session, and let's say if we can answer ourselves, क्या हम इस सवाल का जवाब खुद ही दे सकते हैं? Let's try that. Let's come into the 4 stages of religion. मजहब के अंदर 4 stages हैं जो हम सब जानते हैं. These 4 stages in the religion, and this is not just in Islam, but in all religions of the world. There are 4 stages. And we will see how we, as the Ismaili Muslims, evolved throughout the history on these stages. जैसा कि आज हमको कोई पूछता है कि आप कौन से स्टेज के ऊपर हो अपने मजहब में, तो हम फौरन कहते हैं कि इमाम के फरमान के मुताबिक हम हकीकत के जमाने में रहते हैं. If someone asks us as a Ismaili, which stage of religion do you live in? Without any hesitation, we would say, according to Imam's Farman, we are at the level of Hakikat. How did we get to Hakikat? Let's look at that. At the beginning of the time, meaning about 1400 years or so ago, when Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam brought the new Sharia, the new laws. Remember, the religion of Allah is the one and the same. And this is a very important part for you to remember. The religion of Allah is the one and the same. The religious part did not change. What changed? The Sharia. How to follow, what to do, how to do, and when to do. That part changed. And Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us what to do and what not to do. In the time of Shariat, the physical action is very, very important, because the Shariat is an example of a 2-year-old child. शरीयत की जो मिसाल है वो 2 साला बच्चे की है, 2 साला बच्चे की है. If you pay attention to these examples, you will be able to answer some of the question that we have in front of us. So what happened when a child is 2-year old? Mother tells the child, brush your teeth, comb your hair, take a shower, eat, sleep. And the child has no say so. So Shariat is called do as you are told to do. शरीयत की मिसाल ऐसी है जैसे 2 साल के बच्चे को कहा जाए कि क्या करना है, और शरीयत की मिसाल है कि जैसा कहा जाता है ऐसा करो, उसके अंदर चू चढ़ा नहीं होता है कि ये करूंगा और वो नहीं करूंगा, ऐसा नहीं होता है. So in the time of the Shariat, the Muslimin at the time, they were told exactly what to do, how to do, and when to do. And there was no question, there was no excuse. So the religious practice was at the highest, meaning physical practice was at the highest percentage wise. And you can see on your chart, in the time of Shariat, the action plays 50% of the role in the religion. 50%. But within the time of Shariat, there is little bit of the talim, teaching, part of the tariqat. How and why? Because there are always few people amongst the group, amongst the jamaat, there are mature enough who can learn something about the Shariat. Just like that, let's take the example of our household again. You may have a 2-year-old child, you may have a 4-year-old child, and you may have a 6-year-old child. So 6-year-old child, you can start to teach how to brush, how to comb your hair, even how to change your clothes, how to eat yourself. The mother does not have to feed him as she would for the 2-year-old. So 25% of the focus in the time of Shariat within a religion is on tariqat. But you notice 50%, the larger portion of the time goes toward Shariat, action. Do as you are told to do. I will talk about the Haqiqat and Marifat in a second, just so we can compare the time of tariqat, and then we will see. But when child grows up, nirbit, let's say, the time of tariqat is the example of a 10, 12, 14-year-old child. What did you notice in this chart? The Shariat and tariqat are at the equal level. 30% is do as you are told to do. Because remember, the child is still 10, 12, 14-year-old. But focus is on the teaching. So 30% of the Shariat and 30% of the Tariqat. So at one place, the child is told what to do, and the same percentage of time, 30%, are taught how to do. Now, mother does not have to take the brush to comb the hair or brush the teeth. Mother does not have to change him. He can change himself. He can even shower himself. He can definitely take the food himself. Now, if we take these two stages in the religion, at the time of Shariat, they were focused on do as you are told to do. Everything physical, everything is told, not taught, but told. But as soon as they are a little bit grown, they are given what? Teaching. Let's take another example. Mother knows what is best for the baby, how much to feed, what to feed, and when to feed. But when a child is 10, 12, 14-year old, not only they are learning how to do those things, what did you notice? Their consumption, their food, their intake changed. Matter of fact, their sleep time also changed. A 2-year-old child may sleep for 14, 16, 18 hours a day, but 10, 12, 14-year-old child may sleep 8, 10 hours. Isn't that a nature, a human nature, to grow older? And they changed the way they are living now, the way they are eating now, the way they are doing things now. We never have any question about that. Why doesn't a 10, 12, 14-year-old child only drink milk? Because he drank milk when he was 2-year-old. When he was 2 months old, he was relied 100% on mother's milk. But we don't see them doing that when they are 10, 12 or 14-year-old. They changed. Now, if you take the Shariat and Tariqat together, what else did you notice? In the Tariqat, the teaching part changed from 25% to 30%, which is the equivalent to the Shariat. The Shariat is still there. They are still told what to do because they cannot make their own decisions. But the Tariqat, the teaching part, is equivalent, meaning the do this as you are told, let me teach you how to do it. That part is equivalent now. At the same time, you notice even in the time of Shariat, there is a very small portion of Hakikat and Marifat. All 4 stages are present in every single time. So if there are more mature children in the home, they can also be taught the Hakikat. And I'll give you some example when we get to the Hakikat part in a minute. And then there will be people like Salman Farsi, Misgar, Abu Dhar, who in the time of Shariat reached all the way to the Marifat and became ALWAAZ. So even in the time of Shariat, it was not limited to the do as you are told to do, but let me teach you how to do it, and then Hakikat. Let me tell you the benefit, the truth of the Shariat, the meaning of the action. And we will talk about that in our Hakikat column in a minute. And when they follow the Hakikat, then there are very few handful of followers who would reach to the Marifat, even in the time of Shariat. In the Tariqat, the part of the Hakikat and Marifat also changed, because now they have more knowledge on how to do, when to do, and what to do. They were able to reach to the Hakikat faster because they had the knowledge, they had the ilm. So they were able to reach to the next level of Hakikat. And because they were reaching to the Hakikat, amongst them, some were able to reach to the Marifat much faster. Then comes the time of Hakikat. When Imam Aka Sultan Muhammad Shah Salawatullah Alaihi, may our soul be sacrificed to their Imam, took the Gadi, he announced that this is the time of Qiyamah and we are at the level of Hakikat. What did we notice? It took a long time from the time of Shariat. Let's say the time of Shariat was about 600 years. Time of Tariqat was about 600 years. And I'm just throwing this number. You can count, you can look at the history. But when it came to the time of Hakikat, the Imam of the time guides. Did Imam in the time of Shariat taught the Hakikat and Marifat? Definitely. To whom? To very few. But as the time changed to Tariqat, more and more ilm was given, and we can see that in history, in our Imam's teaching, there was very much emphasis put on ilm. माफी के साथ मैं भूल गया कि हमारे साथ कुछ उर्दू स्पीकिंग लोग भी हैं। नाचीज अर्ज कर रहा था कि आप देख रहे हैं कि चार्ट के ऊपर कि वक्त के साथ साथ जब शरीयत से लोग आगे बढ़कर तरीकत के अंदर आए तो उनका एक्शन बदल गया। अब वो खुद बोले बगैर, चूंकि उनके साथ उन चीजों की हकीकत या उन चीजों की का इल्म उनके साथ था, तो उन्होंने वो शरीयत जो उनको पहले जबरदस्ती से कराई जाती थी, वो उसको सीखकर उसके ऊपर चलने लगे। और तरीकत के अंदर एक बड़ा पोर्शन इल्म का रहा, ताकि उनको सिखाया जा सके कि कब क्या और किस तरह से करना है। और उस जमाने में भी हकीकत और मारिफत थी, लेकिन हकीकत का पोर्शन थोड़ा ऊपर गया। क्यों ऊपर गया? क्योंकि उनके पास इल्म होने की वजह से वो जल्दी जल्दी हकीकत के ऊपर जाने लगे। लेकिन जब वो हकीकत के जमाने में आए तो आपने देखा कि शरीयत का पोर्शन ड्रॉप हुआ और तरीकत का पोर्शन भी ड्रॉप हुआ। यानी कि चूंकि अब उनको समझा दिया था, सिखा दिया था, लेकिन शरीयत बाकी थी और तरीकत भी बाकी थी, यानी कि उनका सिखाना भी बाकी था कि जो तुम कर रहे हो वो क्यों कर रहे हो, कब करना है और किस तरह करना है, वो पोर्शन बाकी है। लेकिन हकीकत के जमाने में हकीकत का पोर्शन, हकीकत का मतलब होता है ट्रूथ, यानी कि आपको अब सच्चाई पता चल गई है, अब उस ट्रूथ को समझकर उसको फॉलो करें। और चूंकि हकीकत के जमाने में ट्रूथ इज नॉन, तो मारिफत का पोर्शन भी ऊपर गया। more and more people were able to reach to the marifat because they have been practicing for 12, 13, 1400 years. They have been given knowledge about the Shariat for 12, 13, 1400 years, and now they know the truth. But if you look at this chart very careful, there are still a portion of Shariat, there is a still portion of Tariqat, but a large portion of Hakikat. And because the Hakikat portion has gone up, the Marfat also has gone up. So what happens in the time of Hakikat compared to Shariat? A mother does not take the brush and brush the child's teeth, take the comb and brush their hair, or feed them. How funny would it be if you have a child in college, and that is the example of Hakikat. They are all grown up, and you have a child in a university, in a dormitory, in a college, or living on his own, may even have a girlfriend or may even be married. And mother say, come here child, let me comb your hair for you, let me change you. Or mother call his son or daughter in the dormitory in the college and say, have you eaten today? Did you sleep 8 hours today? Hey, have you taken a shower today? Did you comb your hair today? You know what's going to happen to you, right? The child will hang up the phone on you. Isn't that correct? If you start to speak to your son or your daughter who is 20, 22, 24-year old or even older, in married 30s, and if you said, son, have you taken a shower? Let me brush your hair for you. Your children will say, Mom, what are you doing? Because you taught them correctly. But sometimes we do see some grown up children acting like child, 2-year, 4-year-old child. Do you ever like those children who act like that? When they are grown up, sometimes they are even married, but you see them acting like 2-year-old child. People laugh at them. They don't enjoy those people. They want the children to grow up, to be independent, to be confident in their life. Now you don't tell them what to do, how to do, when to do, because you taught them when they were growing up when they were 10, 12, 14-year old. You taught them all of that. Now they can drink milk if they want to, but they're not going to be drinking milk from the mother's breast. They can eat when they want and what they want. Mother cannot say when and how and what, because it is no longer do as you are told to do. In the tariqat, let me tell you why you are doing what you are doing. Even that part is gone. In hakikat, you know what is good for you, you know why and how. Now you do it. You are independent now. You do it. So why in the time of Sharia so much emphasis is put on do as you are told to do? Why? Because child does not know what is good for him. Child does not know the benefit of brushing teeth or combing hair or keeping one himself clean, wearing clean clothes, eating healthy, sleeping. He does not know the benefit of any of that. Just like that in religion, our Islam, our tariqah is the natural religion, and it must grow with time. A child cannot stay as a child. So today, in the time of Hakikat, after 1400 years, if a grown up child says, and I'm going to leave this for your thoughts, food for your thought, for your thinking. आज अगर हमें कोई एक बच्चा जो ग्रोन अप है वो कहता है कि माँ मैं तेरी छाती से दूध पीऊंगा और सिर्फ मैं दूध ही पीऊंगा और कुछ भी खाना नहीं खाऊंगा, what your action would be toward that? When a child is 20, 30, 40-year old, but he said no, because when I was 2-year old, you fed me milk, you combed my hair, you brushed my teeth, continue to do that because I enjoyed it so much. And I will only go to KG and nursery because there I got milk, I got cookies, I got candies, I had the playtime. I even got to sleep some in the school. I will not go to the high school, I will not go to the college because that is too much work. That's too much thinking. I will remain in nursery. I will remain to be 2-year old. That is not natural, is it? The nature teaches us that things must change. So those who emphasize and force and say, why don't we follow Sharia today? The way we follow the Sharia 1400 years ago. Then my question would be, and I promised that to everyone yesterday, that we will put light on this. My question would be, how would you like to be a 2-year-old child? Because 2-year-old child follows the Shariat as they are told to do. But when you are about 14-year-old, you are taught what to do, and when you are grown up, meaning you are adult, you know the hakikat, the truth behind the Shariat and your action. So now you know why you were fed, why you were kept clean, why you were taught everything. Now you know what is good for you and what is bad for you. And the life goes on. Let's look at the Hakikat chart because we are in the time of Hakikat. You notice we still have some Shariat. What are the Shariats of our tariqah today? Think about that. What is the tariqat in our tariqah today? What is the hakikat in our tariqah today? And what is the marifat in our tariqah today? And then we will come back to the level of marifat, and you can see the chart changes completely. But before we go there, I would like to show you this chart, the one we just talked about. In Islam, Islam is a path, a siratul mustaqim. On the path, you do not sit. Those who say we will remain and do things as it was at the beginning of the Islam in the time of Shariat, their example is like a born child. But nature tells us that we must grow up. Example of the tariqat is like a young man, anyone under the age of 18. Example of the hakikat is like a old person, meaning a mature adult. A mature adult. Now he and she knows that what we were doing, what we were taught, had a greater benefit to our health in physical world and greater benefit to our spiritual and intellectual life. Everything we were taught and we were doing, it was for the benefit of the higher level. I'm going to take the physical example again because that helps us and that teaches us, because we can see that instantly and understand instantly. So I'm going to give you that example again. When your mother gave you a lot of milk and no hard food, because baby cannot digest hard food. But a mother say, because I am eating biryani and nihari, I can eat a steak. So I'm going to feed my born child, the baby, biryani, nihari, or steak. What would happen to that baby? Compared to that, when that child is grown up and is adult or old person, if mother emphasize that you must drink milk only, and I will comb your hair, I will change you, I will bath you, what will happen to that child? That is not natural, is it? That would be against the human habit and the natural progress of the humanity. Now imagine those who argues and emphasize that we must do what we were doing 1400 years ago. Their example would be of a child, a born child up to 2 year old. And then comes the example of marifat. And look at the example of marifat. Example of marifat is like a wise person, because in marifat you have a complete understanding, knowledge, experience of the tariqah of the religion. So that person becomes wise. Now this person compared to this person, meaning a person with the total marifat, hakikat and tariqat, can you compare him to a person of shariat? Can you compare a wise man to a 2-year-old child? Where would you like to be? Where would you like to be? Remember, you have a free will. No one, even Imam does not force you to do things that you don't want it to do. Imam does not force you. If you wanted to live like a child and be in a Shariat, I would say be my guest, and Imam will say, if that what makes you happy, go do it. Even Imam does not force you, because Imam has given you the intellect and the free will with it to do so. Imam gives you the farman. Imam wants to teach you with the ginan. Imam wants to show you the hakikat with the ibadat. But at the end of the day, as a human with the intellect, Imam leaves that on you to do as you were told to do as you were taught to do what is right to do. That part, Imam leaves that with you. And don't let anyone force anything on you. Imam teaches you and gives you the tools to make decision. And we are here to teach you, not to force you to do what you do not want to do. You do. If you want to be a two-year-old child, be my guest. If you wanted to act like a child, be my guest. But what would you like to be? Where you would like to be on this chart? And remember, at the time of Hakikat, you are an old person, meaning you are an adult with learned and intellect, with a knowledge. And what does Imam says? The one with the ilm, one with the knowledge, darja ba darja upar jata hai. You don't reverse back. You don't come to Hakikat and say, I'm going to reverse back to Shariat. And look at the time of Marifat, time of Qiyamah, where we are. We only have a 3 Shariat in Ismaili Tariqa. 3 times Dua, the Son, and Chandrat Majlis. That's it. None of the other Majlis. Even Betul Khyal is not compulsory in our Tariqa. Only 3 Shariat. Only 10% left of the Shariat. Look at where we were at the beginning of the life and where we are today. What would you rather do, 10% of Shariat or 50% of Shariat? The decision, the choice must be yours. If you do not want to learn, and if you do not want to know the truth, and if you don't want to have everything a wise man could have intellectually, then it has to be you. No one can tell you. And I'm very, very open and about it, that it is your decision. You act the way you like to act. But this can show you, this chart can tell you where you are supposed to be. And we are the people of intellect. Our tariqa sits on intellect and logic, and we are supposed to be the follower of the Imam of the time. And Imam of the time, according to the time, teaches us, guides us. We do not reverse back. We do not reverse back. That is not a human nature. Human progress further, upward, onward, not go back. That is not a human nature. Let's take some more example, and then we will end today's session, and then we will talk about the Ramadan, the meaning of the month, the name of Ramadan. So let's quickly review what we just learned. So let's try to understand three kinds of Shariat. Even in Shariat, there are three kinds. What are the Shariat? There are Shariat Ilahi, the laws of Allah, which is called Atal. Atal English में permanent को बोलते हैं. There are Shariat Ilahi, which is the Atal laws, Shariat, permanent laws, and that is what? Do good, do not kill, pray and purify, and give charity. Those are the permanent laws. You can go to the Hinduism, you can even go to atheists, you can go to Judaism, Abrahamic tradition, Christianity, Islam, Ismaili, all religion equally will teach you Shariat-e-Ilahi, the natural Shariat laws. And that is what? Do good. Be a good human. Do not kill, pray and purify, meditate and give. Give charity. Those are natural law. Now, what is Shariat-e-Nabawi? The Shariat-e-Muhammadi. What is Shariat-e-Nabawi? Shariat-e-Muhammadi. The each natik, each prophet and each imam, according to the time, teaches you what is good. The Shariat Nabawi number one is the wazihi, temporary but force Shariat. Shariat Nabawi is the temporary wazihi but a force Shariat. So he tells you when in the Shariat Ilahi do good, he will tell you what is good. He will tell you do not hurt others, meaning do not kill. You see, in the Shariat Nabawi, he is the Sahibe Shariat, Sahibe Zaman. He does not change the permanent laws. What laws does he change? The temporary law. And let me give you an example. If someone argues here that no, whatever Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had told us and taught us, that cannot be changed, then my question would be to you, did Prophet Muhammad change what Hazrat Isa brought? Did Hazrat Isa change what Hazrat Musa has emphasized and brought the laws, the Shariat? That is the nature that each prophet and each natik and each imam changes the Shariat according to the time. Otherwise, why do we need present and living imam? Why do we need them? If we already have the Shariat and Nabawi, and if law cannot change, Adam was sufficient enough. Why did Allah send 124,000 prophets according to time? Why we have imams living and present if the previous law cannot be changed? So what our Dais and Pir have taught us, the Shariat and Nabawi is the wazihi, temporary Shariat, but a forced Shariat. Meaning, when they come, they will force you to leave the old Shariat and they will put the new Shariat on. So they told us what is good, how we should not hurt others. When Allah said pray and purify in Shariat Ilahi, Shariat and Nabi told us how, when, and where. So Prophet Muhammad told us initially, he himself, in 23 years short period of his Nabuwat, changed the Shariat from the beginning to the end. If Shariat cannot be changed, why was he changing? And why did he change the Shariat Isa and Shariat Musa? You see, that argument is not there, is not a good argument to have. That Shariat cannot be changed. Because Prophet Muhammad was doing something, peace be upon him, then we should follow it after 1400 years. That is not a good argument. Because we do not do what we were doing when we were 2 years old. So he tells us in according to his time how, when, and where zakat. Look at the form of zakat changed. He forced that on the people of that time because Wadi Shariat is a force but a temporary Shariat. And we had the other Shariat and Nabawi, for example, Zakat, Roza, and Hajj. Then there is a third kind of Shariat, Shariat Imam Zaman, because Imam is the Lord, the Sahib Zaman. जिस तरह से नबी जब जब आए अपने अपने जमाने में, उन्होंने अपने जमाने के हिसाब से खुदा की शरीयत के ऊपर ही रहकर उसको बदला। अगर ये नेचर है तो क्या इमाम उसी लॉज को फॉलो नहीं करेगा? करेगा, लेकिन जमाने के हिसाब से। Just like when Prophet came and changed the laws and gave us the temporary forced law, but the Shariat Ilahi didn't change. This part never will change. The first part is a permanent. This part does not change. What is that? Do good. Do not hurt others. Do not kill. Pray and purify. How, when, and where? Sahib Zaman, Sahib Shariat will tell you according to the time and the place. And the place. If throughout our history you will notice, in the time of Al-Maut, in time of Imam Muslim Sibillah, in time of Imam Aka Sultan Muhammad Shah, may our soul be sacrificed to that Imam, we progress, we move forward, we progress. Sirat al-Mustaqim, we're supposed to move forward. We're not supposed to sit on the path. रास्ता बैठने के लिए नहीं है, आगे बढ़ने के लिए है. So how does Shariat Imam, Shariat Imam Zaman works? He tells us what is good and what is need to be done according to time and the age. And he can change that. And we can see that in our history because all of you know the history. I only have given you a very small example here, and we will only take 2 more minutes before we stop. And that is the example of Al-Maut declaration in the time of Imam Allah Zikri Salam, the 23rd Imam. How he declared the Shariat has been lifted. The shackles of the Shariat has been broken. Shariat is not forced on you anymore. But if somebody wanted to follow the Shariat, somebody wanted to still suck the milk out of the mother's breast, then be my guest. But that is no longer requirement, that is no longer need. So he gave us the time that Shariat has been lifted, the shackles, the chains of the Shariat has been lifted, broken, Now you are in the time where you know what is good for you and you do. And the example I have here, and we will talk about the Roza Batin in our next session. The Hadith and Nabawi, what does he said? He told us about the time when this will happen, 1400 years ago. If you want to follow Shariat and Nabawi, you want to follow the Hidayat, the teaching of Prophet Muhammad Mustafa Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, here is the one. The Shariat is my sayings. Tariqat is my actions. Tariqat is my action. Hakikat is my state of mind. Where would you like to be? You wanted to be with him. Hakikat is my state of mind. Remember, you wanted to be with the Imam. You want to be with the Imam. And Marifat is my secret. I would say, as a wise person, you want to be with the Marifat to receive the secrets of the prophets and the Imam and the Tariqah and the religion. Inshallah, next week we will talk about the Batin of the Roza and we will explain the Ramzan. So let me stop here. Thank you, everyone.
Subhanallah, sir. Subhanallah. Friends, if you have any question, please share in the chat room. Sir, we have received one question this far. What is the source of the table that you shared so that we can do some personal search?
G. This table was made by myself, but there is a copy of a table just like that in the book, the diagram written by Allama Sahib. And you will find a similar chart. Number may have been different a little bit, but remember when you are presented with a chart, the chart is there for as an example. This is the example of the Shariat, Tariqat, Hakikat and Marifat to show you how the progress is made. So if you like, you can receive that book, a soft copy from Kamri Sahib, and you can look it up. The book of diagram, G.
So there are no questions in the chat. Friends, if anyone have any question, please unmute your device.
This book is also on the smiley.literature.org, and the complete name of the book is Diagram of Wisdom, G. A lot to think about.
Ya Ali Madad, sir.
Yeah, Ali Madad.
I would like to know the other Ismaili tariqas, say Arabic or Syrian tradition or Tajik tradition, do they regard fasting Ramadan the same way that the Southeastern Jamaat do, or is it different, please?
It all depends. It all depends. And that is a very good question, Dr. Sahib. Remember, the Faramin of the Imam is the one and the same for the international total Jamaat. Because it is not a different Farman for the Khoja Southeastern Jamaat compared to the Syrian or the tradition of Pir Nasir Khusro Jamaat, which includes the Syria, includes the original Jamaat of the Middle East, which is including Syria, and the Tajikistan and Afghanistan and the Greater Badakhshan. So we have a three tradition as a total. We have Arabic tradition, which includes the Persian tradition. Then we have the Badakhshan tradition of Pir Nasir Khusro, and then we have a Khoja tradition of Pir Sadruddin. But in the time of Hakikat, in this time, we do not see them as a three different tradition, but the one tradition of Ismaili Tariqa under the Faramin of the Imam Zaman. So if you look at the 48th Imam Farman, Imam Aka Sultan Muhammad Shah, may our soul be sacrificed to him, and Hazir Imam Salawatullah alayhi's Faramin, then this two Imam have brought all the global Jamaat on a one single platform. So they should be on the same page. Now, if they are observing the physical Roza as the physical Roza, then I don't know what to say. But if they are observing the physical Roza with the Hakiki meaning, the truth, and we will learn what is the meaning of Roza and what is said in the Quran about the Roza, then you will see the Roza is there for the purification. Roza is there for the purification. So if they are observing the Roza for the purpose of purification, then there is nothing wrong with that. If they are observing Roza because others are observing Shariati Roza, then they have a free will to do so. G.
And thank you. As you said, that was a good answer because that goes in line with Sultan Mosh and the memoirs when he says physical fasting is good for your body, and what it does, it trains the body to restrain from bad or evil deeds, and that's
Right.
exactly what we do. Thank you, Ali Madad.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Saib. And you know what? Your question reminded me of a question which came yesterday morning, actually. And because yesterday I had promised that I will talk about Rosa today, so Kamra Saib, with your permission, I would like to go ahead and address that question. And the question was, then what is the purpose of the physical Rosa? And why was it enforced and emphasized so much for about 1200 years? It was emphasized upon. In the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the new Muslims and the followers and the Jamaat, they were not very literate, and their eating habits and their practice of the religion was really, really bad. So what did Huzur sallallahu alaihi wasallam did? He gave them a practice so they may become healthy physically. They may change their practice of daily living differently, and they may think of others and not eat like a pig all the time. And normally I do not like to do this, but just for your teaching, do not use this example with our ummah, with our Muslim brethren, with our other Ismailis who like to do physical roza. Please do not use this. But this is just example that I want to give, and this is just an example. Do not hold me to this. Do not quote me on this. And that is, if in the time of Prophet Muhammad, the reason of the physical fasting, stop eating for 12, 13, 14, 15 hours, was to stop them from eating like a pig. And then if today, and you see that, and we saw it yesterday firsthand, yesterday we saw it in firsthand, that you keep the rosa for 14, 15 hours, then you eat like a pig. then what is the purpose and the benefit of the roza? That if you're going to eat so much that you will eat same amount and then more in one meal which you would normally eat in a 3 meal. What is the purpose of the roza? Tell me. What did you gain from this roza? If you're gonna at the end of the day eat so much that you will eat more than you will normally eat in a day, and that is a fact. You can look it up. In the Muslim countries, the food demands and food consumption increase by 10 to 15% in the month of Ramadan. Food demand and consumption increases in Muslim countries by 10 to 15% in the month of Ramadan. What is the benefit of that fasting? So this was just an example and the answer to the question yesterday. The reason the fasting not to eat was given to Muslimin of the time because to change their habit. But if even after 1400 years, if we are eating the way we were eating 1400 years ago, then we have not learned anything from this practice. G.
Sir, we have a few more questions in the chat. Someone is asking, since the Shariat is lifted, does it include zakat? If not, then are there any recent farmans guiding on zakat of the son?
Very good question. Very, very good question. So let's look at that. In the time of Prophet Muhammad, the form and the shape of zakat was different. You were supposed to give zakat on the livestock that you have, the real estate you owned, even the personal use items you had in your home, and then money and the income. How many kind of zakat there was? 5 kind. Then in the time of tariqat, it was taught to give zakat in a lump sum, one single zakat, but in a lump sum. Now look at the time of Imam Hassan Ali Shah, Imam Ali Shah Mabab, and Imam Aka Sultan Muhammad Shah, Salawatullah Alayhi, may our soul be sacrificed to their Imam. We were told and taught how to be firm on the son. Then came the time of Hazar Imam. You will not find a single farman in 65 years of Imamat. 65 years of current Imamat, you will not find a single farman on the son. You know why? Because you are taught better. You are taught correctly. You know what is good for you. He does not have to tell you again and again how to brush your teeth, how to comb your hair, how to take a shower, how to change. He already have taught us all of that. So now we know what is right, and in our tariqah only 3 shariat is left. That's it, only 3. Dua, the son, and the Chandras Mallas. That's it. Everything else we do that is not compulsory, not imposed on us. So the form of things have changed. And then what did Mola Baba do in Golden Jubilee? There was a historical change. 1,000 years from today, people will look back and they will say, oh my God, we missed it. Imam told us the zakat is of, the son is of a 3 kind. In the Golden Jubilee, Imam said, you must not only give money, zakat, charity, donation, but also must give your knowledge and your time. So if you are a person of intellect, you will instantly will catch up on this. That Imam is asking us to do three things. Money is not good enough anymore. Time and knowledge must be shared and given. G.
So there's another question, but I think Khayal answered that question. Another question, friends asking, so Ramzan Roza are not mandatory to Ismailis. Can we fast half a day?
Only thing I can do is laugh. I think that answered your question.
So another question, was there any Chandat
I have to
Malik?
tell you guys, I love you guys so much. And sometimes when I laugh with the love. Okay? Because I love you all so much. Ji Kamriya Sahib.
Was there any Chandat Majlis in Prophet Muhammad time? Also, please share what is the marfat of Chandat Majlis?
Okay, that's a different subject. The Chandrat Majlis as we have today, it started by Imam Aka Sultan Muhammad Shah in the time of Hakikat. But the different forms of majalis were observed not only in the time of Prophet Muhammad, but even before him. Even before him. For example, Navroz, said to be observed from the time of Adam. The Chandrat, the day of the new moon, not only in the time of Prophet Muhammad, but even before then, because it has a lot of meaning. But the shape and the form of the majlis was given to us in the time of Hakikat by the Imam of the time, 48th Imam. If you like to learn more about the Chandrat and about the beach, please listen to the Chandrat lectures and the lecture on the beach, Shukarwari beach, which are already recorded and are available. You can listen to them. G.
So there are no questions in the chat.
याली मदद
Yeah, Ali Madad.
मैंने एक नॉन इस्माइली को बोला कि भाई खरा रोजा तो यही है कि अपनी आंख पाक रखो, अपना हाथ पाक रखो, अपनी जबान साफ रखो, अपना दिल साफ रखो। तो उसने मेरे को ये जवाब दिया कि रोजा अपन रखेंगे तो ये सब कुछ होएगा नहीं। तो इसके बारे में आप क्या बोलना चाहते हो?
सबसे पहले कि हम क्यों किसी से डिबेट या आर्गुमेंट करते हैं, तो जिस तरह से नाचीज ने पहले ही अर्ज कर दी कि अगर आपको भूखा रहना पड़ता है अपनी आंख पाक करने के लिए, अपना दिल पाक करने के लिए, अपने ख्यालात को पाक करने के लिए, अपने एक्शन को पाक करने के लिए, अपनी जबान को पाक करने के लिए, अपने कान को पाक करने के लिए, तो आपकी मिसाल तो ऐसी हो गई जैसे 2 साल के बच्चे को माँ की जरूरत पड़ती है कि वो उसको पाक रखे, उसको ब्रश करे, उसको निलावे दुलावे। अगर हम उस पोजीशन में हैं कि हमको कोई निलावे दुलावे तो हम अपनी आंखें पाक रखें, तो फिर सवाल खत्म हो गया, क्योंकि आप अभी भी उस स्टेज के ऊपर है कि जहां पर भूखा रहने से ही आपकी आंखें पाक होती है, आपके कान पाक होते हैं, आपका दिल पाक होता है, आपकी जबान पाक होती है। आपका जवाब आपको मिल गया? जी
नो इट्स ओके, थैंक यू, बहुत अच्छा जवाब दिया आपने। नहीं, कभी कभी बातें होती है ना, तभी मैं पूछता, तो कभी कभी मैं सोच में पड़ जाता हूँ कि भाई ये, तो मेरे को भी संतोषकारक जवाब मिल गया। थैंक यू सो मच।
I will add one thing to this. Please do not argue with others until you have a complete knowledge of your tariqa and your religion. Do not argue with others, because Neem Hakim Khatrae Jan. Because we do not have a complete understanding, you will have nothing but to lose your iman. Do not put your iman online by arguing with others until you have complete knowledge of your tariqa. Please. Gee, I'm sorry. My sister was trying to say something. Gee,
या
Yalimada.
थैंक यू
मुझे
सो मच।
पूछना था कि लाइक शुक्रवारी बीच का भी कोई मार्फत है, लाइक यू नो बातनी मीनिंग, बिकॉज कुछ लोगों
बेशक
से वो नहीं रखते बीच, वो भी जाहिरी है, इसका भी कुछ बात नहीं मानी है। सो आई डोंट नो, मतलब हमने तो हाजिर इमाम के कुछ, मतलब मौला के तो नहीं, लेकिन हिस्ट्री में पढ़ा है कि पीरों ने हम पे फर्ज किया था, तो वो भी रखना ना रखे तो क्या माफ है? इसकी भी कोई बात नहीं मानी है?
so I would say, and I will say this with as a friend, as a brother, please listen to the lectures on Shukarwari Beach to understand the batin of it, the marifat of it. This is my personal practice. I do not do anything without understanding it first. If I don't understand something, I don't do it. I must know the complete understanding of something before I do it. Because this is not a time of Sharia to do as you are told to do. Know the truth and then do it so you may benefit. So please listen to the Chandrat and Shukarwari Beach lectures. Then if you have a question, please call me and I'll be more than happy to guide you. Ji.
Can you please send us those recordings?
Kamani Sahib, he's your main of source. Kamani Sahib
Yeah,
can share with you.
yeah, I just shared in the chat the link for the beach.
Thank you.
Do we have any more questions?
और ये याली मदद, और ये जो आपने चार्ट में बताया है कि लाइक एक जब थर्ड उस पे आके शरीयत लाइक नो तरीकत हकी बढ़ जाती है और फिर आखिर में कम हो जाती है तरीकत 20 पे 10 इस तरह से, इसका क्या मीनिंग है?
Okay, let me go to that
कॉलम
chart. Yes.
या सेकंड कॉलम में?
इसका मतलब है कि जिस तरह से हम बड़े होते जाते हैं ना,
हाँ,
जिस तरह से हम बड़े होते जाते हैं, इसी तरह से चीजें जो है वो तब्दील हो जाती है। यानी कि कुछ चीजें हमको ज्यादा करनी होती है, कुछ चीजें कम करनी होती है। फॉर
ओके,
एग्जाम्पल देखिए आप इसके अंदर कि शरीर के जमाने में, यानी कि जब हम बच्चे थे तो हम बहुत सारी चीजें जो है ना, हमारा आधा वक्त जो है ना वो सोने में और दूध पीने में चला जाता था। लेकिन तरीकत में ऐसा नहीं होता था। लेकिन फिर भी 30% वक्त हमारा सोने और दूध पीने में जाता था। लेकिन हकीकत के जमाने में क्या हुआ कि हमने उन चीजों को सीख लिया और अब हम एक लेवल प्लेटफॉर्म पर आ गए। यू सी दिस प्लेटफॉर्म, हाउ दिस प्लेटफॉर्म इज सो लेवल्ड that you do still have a shariat, meaning you're still eating, but you're doing it yourself. You're still learning, but you are learning on your own. But you know the truth more, so you can move forward because you know the truth. So you can move forward quickly. That is what this chart shows you. But even in the level of marifat, shariat doesn't go away. So today, we still have the dua. Shariat didn't go away. But it's not forced on us anymore. So look at Sultan Muhammad Shah's Farman and look at Maula Abbas Farman, okay? Sultan Muhammad Shah, you must come to Jamaat Khana for your 3-time dua. You must come to Ibadat. Even if you are sick, you must come to Jamaat Khana to pray. You remember Sultan Muhammad Shah Farman, right? Only 100 years ago. Hazri Imam, if you cannot come to Jamaat Khana, take the tasbih. Remember your dua. Remember your Imam. The pressure of life, you cannot come to Jamaat Khana, say your prayer wherever you are. Even Maulana said, if you are in traveling in your bus, if you are working in your job, you see the form change within 100 years? Because in the time of Hakikat, Shariat is left this much. There is a Hadith and Nabawi that only 10% of the Shariat is followed in the time of Hakikat. Then you will be asked no question in the time of Qiyamah. No question will be asked. But in the time of Shariat, 50%, meaning half of your focus, should be on the Shariat. So you see, today we only have a 10% left. Only 10% left. Our 50% of focus should be on the marifat, of the recognition of the Imam, on the nur of the Imam, on the ibadat, on the Isme Azam. Our focus should be there, not on the Shariat. But unfortunately, our focus still is on Shariat. And matter of fact, our brothers and sisters are pushing us. And you just notice, even in yesterday's class and today's class, no, we're supposed to do Roza. We are pushing people toward the Shariat. But Imam is taking us toward the Hakikat and Marifat. Should I follow Imam or what one of our brothers is telling me to do? Who is your Imam? That man who's telling you to do Roza? Or your Imam is the Imam who is guiding you, the one you are taking the bayat of? Why are you not listening to your Imam and you are focused on this ye bhai or wo bhai? Why? We are supposed to follow the Imam. We are in the time of Hakikat and Marifat. We are in the time of Qiyamah. Our focus should be on the Marifat, not on Shariat. But because of the Imam's Farman, there is a little bit of Shariat left, and we must follow the Farman of the Imam. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Not me, no one can tell you otherwise. If you wanted to take one thing from this Garib and Nachis, and if you forget about everything I told you today, remember this. Follow Imam's Farman. That's it. Focus on Imam. And Imam is telling you, this is the time of Hakikat, this is the time of Qiyamah, this is the time of Marifat.
याली मदद सॉरी थैंक यू एक और क्वेश्चन है आई डोंट नो वो भी रोजे से ही है लाइक किसी से बात हुई बोले थे कि लाइक मुल्क सुल्तान हमशा का फरमान है ना कि ये किताब नमाज रोजा और बंदगी को चाहता है और वो उम्मीद आजादी की रखता है तो इट मींस दैट वी अंडरस्टूड के बंदगी पे भी जाहिर आ गई कि ये किताब नमाज रोजा और बंदगी को चाहता है और वो आजादी की उम्मीद रखता है तो इन द सेंस क्या मतलब बंदगी तो अगर जाहिरी तो नहीं है बंदगी तो बात नहीं है इस बारे में आप क्या कहते हैं
तो हर चीज बातें नहीं हो गई अगर ये एक आपने इसको समझ लिया तो दुआ भी बातिन की होगी रोजा भी बातिन का होगा और इबादत भी बातिन की होगी हमारी प्रैक्टिस भी बातिन क्यों बातिन की होगी क्योंकि हम उस जमाने में आ गए हैं कि जहां पर हर चीज को मार्फत के लेवल पर लेना होता है हकीकत से समझकर मारिफत की तरफ जाना होता है And if you look at what is our next subject, what did you notice? Look at your screen. Roza of Batin, not of Azahir. That's what we're going to learn next week.
फिर इसमें वो का मतलब क्या है? वो आजादी की उम्मीद रखता है, मौला
We
का
will talk
फरमान।
about that. We will talk
ओके,
about the Batin. That is our next subject, right?
थैंक यू।
You're welcome. Great questions. Kamran Sahab, do we want to take one last question or should we stop?
Yes, sir, we can take one more question. I actually have it in the chat, one question. Friends asking, so if Marifat will be dominated in the next 100 to 300 years, why new Shariat will be needed at the end of this cycle of 7,000 years? What will change that will force God to implement new Shariat?
Okay. So I will reply this in very short. Number one, this question of the new Shariat is not a relevant question for today's subject. Number one. Number two, because you have asked, remember Shariat of the Imam Zaman. Imam Zaman is the Sahib-e-Shariat. Sahib-e-Shariat English में कहते हैं, he is the Lord of the law. He can impose, he can give, he can ask you to do new or old thing as he sees fit, because he is the Sahib-e-Shariat. So if there was or if there is a Shariat with the Imam Zaman, then Imam knows and he know what is good for us, so he impose new Shariat. I hope in the short I have completely answered your question. Ji.
There are no questions in the chat.
Thank you, everyone. I think we should stop here. Thank you, everybody. Inshallah, we'll see you next week. We will do the Batin of the Roza in our part 2. Thank you, Ya Ali Madad. Thank you, Kamran Sahib. Thank you, everybody.
Madad. May Mola bless
Yeah.
you. Ya Madad.
Thank you.
Ameen. Ameen. Ya Ali Madad.
Thank you.
Ya Ali Madad. Ya Ali Madad. Ya Ali Madad. Ya Ali
याली
Madad.
मदद हम लोग सबको हकीकती समझ मिले सबको।
Ameen. Ameen. Ya Ali Madad. Ya Ali Madad.